All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spinal Care class. I'm so glad you could make it. I'm so glad that you could take time out of your busy day and learn how to best take care of your spine and get the most out of your chiropractic care here. So the first thing I'm going to do is explain to you what chiropractic is and what it is not. So we're going to do that by doing a little anatomy lesson. This is an example of how the spine is formed in utero, right? But it's a little bit oversimplified for those of you that are more educated in this. So let's start at the beginning. So in the beginning, there is what? What is there in the beginning? Well, first we've got to get the top stuff of mark. So in the beginning, there is an egg and a sperm. And these two cells come together and multiply and divide and form a mass of cells called the corolla. This is just very early on in development. If you look at this mass of cells, you will see down the center of it a cord, which is called a notochord. The reason why that's really cool is the notochord, the remnants of the notochord show up in your discs as you develop into an adult. So for now, this is a mass of cells called the corolla, and then over time, this starts to do something that looks like this. So it's elongating, much like a tadpole. But if you notice, it's starting at the brain, gave something away, and elongating. So if this part is the brain, then this part is the spinal cord. So the brain and the spinal cord are one organ. It's not two organs that are stuck together. It develops as one organ. After a period of time, this starts to grow branches, which then in turn eventually become the spinal nerves. Now this tissue, which is all neurological, is much like coagulated snot or slightly cooked egg white. So it's not going to survive out in the world because it's pretty fragile. So what the body does is it starts to build bone. There are several plates that go into making the skull. And the reason for that is because the brain has to grow. So the skull has to open up. Also, if we fall, if we hit our head, you don't want the brain to crack like an egg, right? So if there's several different plates that come together in something we call sutures, here would be a suture, it allows for some motion. At the bottom of this, I'm going to change places. At the bottom of this is a hole. We call it the foramen magnum, through which the spinal cord connects it. And then the body grows vertebra in between the spinal nerves. These vertebra are flexible so that it protects the spinal cord but allows for motion. Okay? At the end of each spinal nerve is what we call a nerve bud. And this nerve bud tells everything else where to grow. So let's say there's going to be a kidney growing here, and a kidney growing here, and this is going to be a heart, this is going to be a lung, this might be a muscle. So you get the idea. So the nerve buds are telling everything else where to grow. Many, many years ago, they did a study on a monkey. It's called the Reese's monkey study. And they took this monkey and they severed the nerve that went into one of the kidneys. And what they found is the kidney that was severed from the spinal nerve, the kidney eventually died because it wasn't getting any neurological input from the brain. The monkey didn't die, right? Because the monkey had another kidney. And then they took this apparatus, much like a light bulb, and they attached it to the part of the nerve that was still connected to the spinal cord. And what they found is in this apparatus, they had like a light bulb. And they found that the light bulb lit. So when we talk about the information that goes from the brain down the spinal cord and out into the spinal nerves, it's electrical. Now, if you'll just put your finger on your eye so you can barely feel it, that's about enough pressure, about the same as a dime. So just so you can barely feel it. So that amount of pressure can distort nerve function up to 60%. So it doesn't take much misalignment here in the spine to cause a distortion in nerve function. When a vertebra is out of alignment and causing nerve compression and is fixation, and it's fixated, in other words, the body doesn't want it to move, so it lays down kind of tissue. Think of it like packing tape, right, with the threads in it. So the body lays down this scar tissue in and around a vertebra to protect it, to keep it from going further out of alignment. We call that a subluxation. So a subluxation is a vertebral misalignment that's causing nerve compression, and then there's fixation. And that's what chiropractors treat, is we treat subluxations. We work at correcting them for the purpose of freeing up this pathway, this central nervous system pathway, so that the brain and the spinal cord can communicate out to all the tissue in your body.